Good afternoon and good morning, or good evening if you're depending on the time zone that you're joining us today. Welcome to the first webinar from Telerik India for the year 2016, and we wish you all a very happy New Year. Hope 2016 brings all your dreams to true. And today's webinar is all about looking at something called as Visual Studio 2015. Well, if you are a .NET guy, if you have been programming on the Microsoft stack, I'm pretty sure you've heard of this particular IDE called Visual Studio. And we pretty much are now are having a new version called as Visual Studio 2015. So today's webinar is all about looking at what is new inside this particular Visual Studio 2015. We just had something known as Visual Studio 2013, and now we're talking about Visual Studio 2015, right? So VS 2015 was mainstream or went mainstream last year, somewhere May, June timeframe. So this whole webinar is just to kind of give you a glimpse into, hey, these are the things that are available in Visual Studio 2015. If you're not on Visual Studio 2015, you may want to kind of upgrade yourself to 2015, because believe me, there are a couple of good things that are available in 2015. If you're a regular, you know who's the voice behind this mic by now. So my name is Lohit Jian. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Visual Studio and Development Technologies. I work as a technical evangelist for Telerik in India, and those are my coordinates. I'm available at Twitter as Kashyapa, so that's my handle on Twitter. Kashyapas.com is my personal website where I mostly write on ASP.NET and all those web-related stuff. That's my short URL, about.me/Kashyapa. So at the end, I will also share my official email ID. If you want to know more about Telerik, you can write to me at any of these coordinates that I have. So let's get started. Well, where do you start first? Well, of course, it is the setup, right? You will have to install Visual Studio 2015. I don't know how you have felt installing Visual Studio, but I always felt like whenever I get started with installing, I kind of feel like there's a big gate in front of me, and then I need to make a choice of what are all the locks that I need to pick. Visual Studio 2013 or 2012, the installation, what used to happen was they used to give us all the options that you had to typically take care of, or they would install everything, or you had to go and do a custom. Well, with the new setup experience, what Microsoft has done is it has kind of um, simplified it, I would say. What they have done is they said, hey, pick a type of installation, a default. Default means very popular languages like C Sharp, VB, or web and desktop features. That's all. It's gonna not ask you anything more. If you say default, it knows that, oh, he needs a C Sharp language, he needs a VB language, he needs a web feature, he needs a desktop feature, and then boom, it just goes ahead and then installs it. Or for some of the advanced users like me, sometimes what I do is I do want an F sharp, I do want a Python, I do want a Node.js. Maybe I want to do an cross-platform mobile application with JavaScript using Apache Cordova. So that's when you go and then click on custom. If you say custom, then it takes you back to the old experience, or previous experience, where they give you all the option as a checkbox, and then you have to decide what you need, right? If you're starting new and then you are focused very your focus is only on web, your focus is on only on desktop, boom, just select this default radio button, then you're up and go. So they have kind of streamlined the experience itself with Visual Studio 2015. I picked this particular section because yeah, everybody starts here. So if the setup is not smooth, if the setup is not kind of a easy, you feel like, oh, this particular software is so hard, or this particular software is very tough. How do I proceed? It's not smooth, or it's not easy, right? So that's why they did pay close attention to how do you start. That's the setup. And then I would say, like, they've done a good job here by giving this simple combination, wherein if you are a newbie, if you are installing it for the first time and you're worried about only C Sharp and a web, yeah, that's it. Just click on default and they do the rest. If you are an advanced user like me, I can pretty much, I know basically what are the things I need. So I click on custom and then I go out from there. So that's the initial, one of the things that has happened with Visual Studio 2015 is streamlined setup experience. Now, Visual Studio 20, so I'm saying sign in, right? If you are a Visual Studio 2010 user, if you are a Visual Studio 2012 user, I think 2012 introduced this. So now you can log into your Visual Studio. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard this before, but yes, that's why I just put a subtitle as yes. What you can do is now you can sign in to your Visual Studio. Visual Studio will know who you are. All you need is a what we call as a Microsoft account, or the Hotmail or the live.com or live.in or outlook.com, whatever the Microsoft account, live account is what you need. And this is the experience that I get. I have a laptop, a personal laptop, which I use for my personal things, and then I have a work laptop. Both these laptops are Visual Studio. And once I log in, so what do I get with this particular login concept, right? So this is what it happens. So typically, if you're an advanced user, you have set up certain settings within your Visual Studio, some key settings, some key bindings, some window layouts, all those things. So now what happens is, when I'm working on my work laptop, I actually have an additional monitor, which is a kind of a big monitor, and then I have my Visual Studio running on the external monitor. It doesn't run on my primary monitor, which is a laptop monitor. So when I'm running on a big uh, monitor, I have too much of room. I have a big real estate. So I would have had put so many windows. I would have bound some key bindings. That is one good thing that has been done with Visual Studio 2013 and onwards. I can go ahead and then create my own custom key binding. So I'm a big shortcut guy. I do not go to mouse for all the things. I keep looking out for keyboard shortcuts. So with Visual Studio 2013 and above, what happened was I could create my own custom key bindings. I could go and then say Alt, yes, F, or whatever it is, whatever combination, and then tie that combination to a very specific command in Visual Studio, right? So if I have done a key binding on my work laptop, if I have logged in to Visual Studio with my live account, if I go back to my personal laptop, I would get the same key bindings. I would get a different key, layout settings, all those things. I'll show one of the sections in this today's webinar is something known as custom window layouts, meaning I can create different window layouts, and then when I'm in a big monitor, I can say like, I want everything. But when I go to my personal laptop, maybe the screen inch is only 13-inch screen. So I would say I want a minimal windows within the Visual Studio. So those kind of things. So with this, signing into across multiple accounts, what happens is Visual Studio now knows who I am, and then stores my settings, roams my settings. Not only that, notice here on the I'm now logged into my the account, which is my personal account. I also have a Azure subscription on the same personal account. So whenever I have to go and then do some web application and I want to host to my Azure subscription, it already knows who I am. It already knows my Azure subscription, right? So those are the kind of things that have happened. This is basically personalization things with your Visual Studio. Not many people understand this, that if you are working on same Visual Studio in multiple desktops or multiple laptops, you can actually roam around your settings. If you log in with your account, and then with the same account you log in anywhere else, you get the same settings roamed everywhere. So that's a feature that came about with Visual Studio 2013, the logging in. Now they have enhanced it, so you can add a multiple accounts. Notice here it says all accounts, and in the bottom there is something called as add an account. So I may have my live account different. I may have my cloud account different. Yeah, I can bring it in and then just say like, hey, yeah, keep a note of me. So that's another good thing that has happened. The roaming settings, all those things. Now this is a interesting concept that I kind of like with Visual Studio, or why I like Visual Studio, or why I like Microsoft technology stack. these are the things that you can do with just single IDE, right? With Visual Studio 2015, it's much more enhanced with what are the things that you can develop. You can go cross-platform. You can develop cross-platform mobile apps with C# and Xamarin. You can develop cross-platform mobile apps with HTML and JavaScript using the Apache Cordova. You can create a cross-platform game with C# and Unity. You can create a cross-platform app with using native C++. Not only that, you can go universal, meaning universal Windows platform apps for any device. You can also create a web application. You can also create a desktop application. You can also create a console application. You can also create a Node.js application. In fact, I couldn't put any of the other things because the slide has only that much. But with one single IDE, now you can do plethora of platform development, right? I put a couple of things here, but that's the option that you get with Visual Studio IDE. That's why I say Visual Studio is the greatest editor that I know of. I haven't seen anything else, but I do know a little bit of other technologies, other platforms, other tools. In my perspective, it's my personal perspective, nothing comes closer to Visual Studio. So that's what you get with Visual Studio 2015. The new additions is the Apache Cordova things, the C# with Xamarin, all those things that I've added, the C# with Unity. These are the new things. So I'll show you an example of HTML JavaScript with Apache Cordova using Kendo UI. Kendo UI is our control set. It's an HTML5 based control set which allows you to create hybrid mobile application. So we are the UI layer in the hybrid mobile application, and then I will show using Visual Studio 2015. What I've done is I've created a project template for Kendo UI mobile. So it's out there in Visual Studio Gallery. If you want to go download it, you can download it and then install it. Then you will get a file new Kendo UI Apache Cordova project template, and that's it. You can now start creating a cross-platform Cordova-based hybrid mobile application using Kendo UI. So that's possible because now Visual Studio allows you to do those kind of project templates. That's what I did. The first thing that I checked this was, oh, now I can bring in Kendo UI, because earlier there was no native support for cross-platform Apache Cordova things. So Visual Studio 2013 started this concept of multi-device project templates. It was not known as Apache Cordova by then. In 2013, it was known as multi-device JavaScript project template or something like that, different name, but it was basically a Cordova project template. Now they have made it very explicit. They have given a specific project template called as Apache Cordova JavaScript project templates, and then that's what I did, right? So this is interesting for me. One Windows platform, very, very, very powerful. As you can see there, if you are on Windows 10 and then if you have Visual Studio 2015, now you can create a new kind of a project or new kind of project template called as Universal Windows Platform Apps, or Universal Apps in short. So what is the benefit of going universal apps way? Well, it's just one project, one source code which can run on IoT devices, which can run on a mobile, Windows 10 mobile, which can run on Windows 10 PC, that's your desktop, which can run on Xbox, which can run on Surface Hub, which can run on HoloLens. No code changes. This to me is like a fantastic platform if you're looking for Windows 10. By the way, there are a billion devices which are running, a million or a billion devices which are running Windows 10, right? So you have that many devices to put your apps. And not only that, you don't have to rewrite for phone and you don't have to rewrite for a desktop. The Universal Apps platform, what it does is it provides you this concept of write once and then it can pretty much go anywhere. It can run anywhere actually. So currently I'm not set up to actually show any demo of the Universal Apps because I'm on a Windows 8.1 operating system, and Visual Studio 2015 is installed on this machine. But in order to do Universal Apps development, you got to be on Windows 10. I'm not yet upgraded my work laptop to Windows 10. I'll be doing it soon. But if you want to try, if you already have a Windows 10 OS, just install Visual Studio 2015 Community Edition and then create a Windows Universal App, and then you can see that you will get two different emulators, one a phone emulator and then a device emulator, or just the laptop or the Windows 10 desktop emulator. So you can see that the same code runs in both the places without any code changes. Of course, you will have to design, you will have to kind of figure out your layouting, whatever it is, but this is one Windows platform, the Universal Apps. It's a very fantastic platform that you want to go ahead and then take a look at that. Now, another interesting thing is connected services. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but connect your app to services is what we say. Maybe if I talk about some services, you will understand. I want to go connect to Azure mobile service. I'm building a cross-platform or a native mobile application, and then I want to make use of Azure mobile services. I want to make use of Azure storage, the blob, the table, all those things. I also have an Office 365 account, or I have an Office 365 subscription, and then I want to go connect to Office 365, or maybe I have a Salesforce subscription, and then in my application I want to go and then connect to that Salesforce, and many more services to come. Currently, this concept of connect to services is supported for these four as of now. So it makes it easier. Think about this. If you are building an application and then there is an external entity like an Azure mobile service or an Office 365 or a Salesforce, how do you connect to that? You need a client SDK. For example, if you're building an hybrid that is Apache Cordova based JavaScript application, you need a JavaScript SDK which knows how to communicate with Azure mobile service, or which knows how to communicate with Office 365, which knows how to communicate with Salesforce, right? You need somebody to provide you that. So what Microsoft has done it is you right click and then say add a connected service. They give you all the client-side SDK that you require depending on the project that you are in, and you seamlessly get a connectivity, or you seamlessly get that integration between your app and that external service. Okay, so before we get into this, I forgot my script. That is, I wanted to show a specific thing. So remember, I talked about cross-platform Apache Cordova project. So, well, here it is. So if you go to file, so this is, by the way, Visual Studio 2015, file, new project. And if you look at this templates installed, there is one template called as JavaScript. And then notice here, or let me select this guy. Yeah, notice here what we get. We have JavaScript, and then we have Apache Cordova apps. Just search for Kendo UI Apache Cordova templates in Visual Studio Gallery. So these three templates have been written by me, and then it's available on Visual Studio Gallery. So what I did was it's an Apache Cordova project. I just took Kendo UI libraries and then made it a Visual Studio 2015 project template. And then now you can go in and then say, like, install it, file, new Kendo UI blank, or Kendo UI dryer, or Kendo UI tab strip app. So currently what I've done is I already selected this Kendo UI dryer app, and then I already created it. So this is how the project looks like. So let me show you. So this is all it is. So there's a www folder, there's a lib folder, there's a Kendo folder. Kendo has the jQuery, Kendo has its own style sheet, and that's it. And then I kind of scaffold a very small application which contains three views, as you can see here. If you see here, it has a home view, it has a contact view, it has a settings view, and I scaffold this. Now what you can do is, if you just run this, so this is a Apache Cordova project, and then what I get is, you get something called as Ripple. Using Ripple, it kind of emulates that particular mobile device. So in this case, I'm emulating an Android using a Ripple environment. A Ripple is nothing but a plugin that's there for the Chrome. And now what it is doing is it's building my project, and then it's going to bring up Chrome and then a different environment called as a Ripple, and I get to and it emulates the Android device, and then I see how my code will look like in Android device. I'm not sure how many of you are doing hybrid mobile apps, but I'm a big fan of hybrid mobile apps, and then I like our Kendo UI. I'm not saying just because I work for Telerik, but believe me, it gives me. So as you can see here, this is how polished it looks with our Kendo UI. And take a look at this. This is a list, right? I haven't seen anything else which can be as polished as like this. I know there are plenty of options available. Of course, you are free to go take a look at this. But I'm saying, like, with this, what you're getting is a very polished, enterprise-looking, very professional-looking application that you get with Kendo UI. So that's what I've done, and this is what helps you to do with Kendo with Visual Studio 2015, a new project template called as Apache Cordova JavaScript project templates, and you can get in Visual Studio Kendo UI, and then you can build as beautiful hybrid mobile apps as you can see here on the screen. So this is the cross-platform thing that I was talking about. I'm not set up for Xamarin also because I've not installed Xamarin yet. I keep playing mostly on the hybrid related stuff. So that was about the cross-platform thing. So now we are talking about the connected services. Let's say this application is a hybrid mobile application using Kendo UI as the front end, but I want to go and connect to, let's say, Azure Mobile Service, or I want to go and connect to Office 365, or I want to go and then connect to Salesforce. How do you do that, right? So of course, I need some integration between my application and that particular service. Well, Microsoft has made it very, very simple for us now. You just right click on your solution, go to add, and then I think it is running. Let me stop this. So this is one thing that I've noticed. Either I don't know if it is on my machine, that is my laptop, or if somebody else has faced it, but when I stop, it takes quite a while for Visual Studio to get detached from the Chrome instance, and then as you can see, it is still spinning. Let's give it a couple of more seconds before it goes down, and then meaning the debugging stops, and then I'll get my control back. I'm not sure if it is my machine. I just have to check this, maybe defrag more or something like that. I'll have to check. There you go. So this says, debugger was unable to terminate one or more process. I'm not sure what is happening, but this will come back. Eventually, I'll get my control back. So only when it gives me the control back, I can show you the next demo, which is nothing but connecting to app services like Azure Mobile Service, Office 365, Salesforce, and these are just the 4 names that I'm taking now. But Microsoft is working hard to bring in maybe some other services also, some other popular services that they think will benefit their customers, which is us, and the developers like you, me. So they're currently working towards that, and I'm not sure what's the timeline or which service will come when, but it's a work in progress. They will make sure that they're going to get some more services. Sorry about this. I still don't have the control. Okay, I got the control back. So all you need to do is let me go into live Zoom so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So on your project, yeah, somebody is actually saying like it takes a longer time to attach and detach. Most probably, I'm thinking on my machine, it's the Chrome thing which is kind of acting cranky. Otherwise, Visual Studio just latches onto that process and then does something. But if the Chrome is not responsive enough, I think that's why it takes a little bit of time. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, so now what I can do is I can go to add, and now you will see a new what do you call an option in this context menu now. So I just right clicked on my project, went into the add, and then there is this thing called as connected service. Just click on that. So let me now zoom out. So this is what you get. Application Insights is nothing but kind of an analytics or a telemetry service that's available on Azure. What it allows you to do is you can pretty much gather insights about your application. How is it? How is my application running? Was there a crash? Why was there a crash? What is the stack trace when the crash happened? A lot of telemetry. Telemetry is nothing but you collect a lot of data about your application itself, right? So it says gain visibility into your application using application insights right from Visual Studio. So that's what this is. So application insights is a service available on Microsoft Azure. Now, in order to integrate my app with Azure, this particular service, I need some integration SDKs that's provided using this particular selection. If I say this, it says the current project is not supported. So I think they are not yet enabled this application insights for Cordova based projects. Maybe if I go and then create a web application, this will turn on, and then I can actually go and then say configure. Maybe I want to enable Azure AD authentication on my application. I can do that, but not for the Cordova, as you can see here. But if you see here, it says Azure Mobile Services, store data in the cloud, add authentication, and deliver push notification for your mobile app. So this is a mobile app that I'm building. I need a mechanism to manage users. So I can use Azure Mobile Services and then provide a registration, login, all those concepts. And the data is stored in Azure Mobile Service, so I need an integration with my app and then the data there, right? So that's why there is this add connected service concept. You come in, select Azure Mobile Services, you say configure. Now notice what is happening. Remember I said there's a login mechanism for Visual Studio. Take a look at this. It knows who I am. So everything works in sync now. It knows who I am, and it also knows that I have an Azure account, right? So it went ahead and then brought what are all the Azure mobile services that I have in Microsoft Azure. So currently I have two Azure mobile services running. One is known as Azure AZU Mob to do. So it's like Azure mobile services to do. And then there is a Telplat demo or Telerik platform demo. So this is what I have. So this is the subscription that is there, and then this is hosted in East Asia. So it is showing that. Now, if I have to integrate this particular Azure mobile service with my application, I just have to say Azure mobile to do and then say add. Notice what is happening. It is saying adding connected services to project. Basically, what it does is it goes ahead and then brings in all the JavaScript library that is necessary for integrating. So take a look at that. It is installing Cordova plugin arg.apache.cordova.inapp browser. Why? Because the authentication, in order to do an OAuth, it has to pop up a browser, and then it will take me to sign in, and then once I sign in, it comes back. So that's why it needs an in-app browser. So it is adding the in-app browser. Let's give it a couple of more seconds and then see if it finishes. It's going to do a lot of things. That is, bring in this plugin, then bring in a JavaScript SDK and all those things. So now at least I hope you got the idea. So similar concept for Salesforce, similar concept for Office 365. If you have an Office 365, that means you have a SharePoint list, you have a calendar, you have a mail, you have tasks, whatnot. So if you want to build an application connecting to your Office 365, maybe show a list of mails from Office 365, show a bunch of calendar items from Office 365, well, you will need to do an add connected service and connect to that Office 365 subscription and then come back. I'm not sure what is happening. It's taking quite a number of time. So I'm not sure I can kill it now, but let's give it a time. By the time, if there is anybody having a question, so I'll be able to take a look at the questions panel and then kind of address the question. So go ahead, if you have any question, log it in, I'll pick it up. And I'm waiting for this process to finish. Let's give it a couple of more seconds. There's a question. Are there any profiling add-on in VS 2015? In fact, I'm not touching the diagnostics today, but Visual Studio 2015 has a fantastic diagnostics, built in. Depending on what application that you are building, each application will have a different profiling or diagnostic things. It can give you the frame rates. It can give you, all the typical whatever profiling that you are doing. I would suggest go take a look at Visual Studio 2015 diagnostics. Just search for that in Bing, and you should get an MSDN article, directly talking about Visual Studio 2015 diagnostics improvements. There's a bunch of things that they have done on the diagnostics side of the things. So that's what you can do. Sorry, I'm not covering that this time because I wanted to keep it very light, and then from a developer centric, I wanted to give those core things that would compel you to actually start using Visual Studio 2015 maybe. Diagnostics is a thing that you need for most of your applications. It is built in, but I'm not covering this today. Let's move ahead. I'm going to leave this as is and then come back. So let's see what we had. So of course, you saw the experience. All I had to do was I had to say, hey, connect to Azure mobile services. And then the moment I say add, it would go ahead and do a bunch of things. It started bringing Apache Cordova plugin. And then it will also bring in certain visuals, the JavaScript SDKs that have been written by Microsoft. Basically, these SDKs make it easier for you to communicate with the Azure mobile services, right? You will have methods like connect, authenticate, get data, get table, something like that. But internally, they know they're doing nothing but doing a REST call to your Azure mobile services backend, right? Okay. So as I said, more services to come. I hope you got the idea what I was trying to say there. Now, this is the biggest thing: custom layout. Design your layout, right? So I'm not sure about you, but typically what I would do was as I said, if I have a big monitor, I would bring in my source control, or sorry, the solution explorer. I will have a toolbox on the left-hand side. I will have the the error list, the output, everything in the bottom because I have a bigger real estate. And then in the middle, I have my code, right? So that's the layout that I prefer on a bigger monitor. But if I'm working on my personal laptop, which is a 13-inch screen, I cannot have everything there. So I had to manually go close, whatever I don't need, right? I used to kind of hate it, because when I'm there, I need everything. With a button click, I need everything to come back. And when I'm on my personal laptop, with one single button click, I wanted it to go away, right? So now with Visual Studio 2015, yes, you can do that. The concept is known as custom window layouts. You can create your own window layout. You can store those window layout, and then you can roam that window layout. The moment you log into Visual Studio with your own live account and you save a layout, that particular the particular settings will be synced to your profile, meaning that's available to you when you go into your other laptop and then log into Visual Studio with the same account, and you will be able to get the same setting. For example, what's cool is, take a look at this. This is an example where somebody has created two layouts, one for desktop, one for laptop. And what's interesting is they have shortcuts. Remember, I said I'm not a big window mouse guy, right? So what I normally do is I basically look for shortcuts within Visual Studio. I look for shortcuts. So they have given me a shortcut. If I say Control Alt 1, boom, I get the desktop layout. If I say Control Alt 2, I get a laptop layout, right? Let's take a look at this. Looks like, yeah, so this guy has finished doing it. If you see here, what it has done is it has brought in connected service.json, and then take a look at this. It has added a folder called as services. It has added a mobile services. It has added a settings, and then Azure mobile to-do.js. So if I go inside this particular JavaScript, well, it is nothing but there is a Cordova plugin called as Windows Azure mobile service client, and then it's all inside that plugin, and then everything works from there. So if you see the connected service.json, there's a getting started URI. So here is the link it opened up. It says getting started with mobile services Cordova project. So there's a big article which talks about how do you get the table. So now all I can do is I can start working with this. If you see here, I will have this mobile service client added. So this is available at the global scope. With any page, I can just go and say Azure mobile to do client dot get table. If I have a table name, that table name, read or query a table, all those things. So now you understand how easy it is to get working with all those things. So this is the key that's tied with my account. So it figured out what the key, everything, and then brought back and then put it into the this particular project, right? So now we were talking about the window layout. So let me show you this. So let's assume I have it something like this. I'm looking at task runner. I'm also looking at let's assume this is on a bigger monitor. Let's assume this is a 17-inch monitor or a 22-inch monitor that I have, and then this is the layout that has been set up. So now I can what I can do is, let me zoom in. I can go to window and take a look at this. It says save window layout, right? It is asking me, hey, what do you want to do? So I can say big monitor, right? So let me zoom out back. Now, if I go into the window, you will see apply window layout. Take a look at this. It says I already created a couple of things, minimal and then design. So Control Alt 1 will bring minimal, Control Alt 2 will bring design, Control Alt 3 will bring big monitor. So let me show you that. Now I'm going to do Control Alt 1. Now you saw something happen on the layout. So that's the automatic window layouts that you can see in Visual Studio 2015. That is as cool as it can get. Now I can say Control Alt 2. It will bring me back design surface. So if you see here, I have a toolbox, I have a solution explorer, I have a properties, I have the code in the middle. Now I'm going to maybe a big monitor. So I can do Control Alt 3 and boom, I get all the things that I set up. In fact, you did not see my mouse being moved on the Visual Studio. That's because I was doing a keyboard shortcut, which is Control Alt 1, Control Alt 2, Control Alt 3, right? So basically this is custom window layouts for you. So maybe you when you're getting a bigger monitor, you want some more things, but when you're it's typically, I also do that when I'm running, meaning when the code is running, I don't want the output window to be the bottom. If you see here, the output windows usually come up in the bottom section, right? I want the output to be here. If you see here, I have my output always pinned on the top as a full blown. So you can create that as a layout and then save it, and then boom, click a different keystroke, and then you will get it. So let me go back to Control Alt 1. So that will be the minimal. There you go. Right? So you can actually start creating different window layouts. Like for example, whenever you are debugging, if you needed your diagnostics window, you needed your watch window, you needed your whatever debugging related windows, yeah, go ahead, create it, and then save the window layout. And then you just with a one keystroke, you can do that. Now, because I have logged in as Lohit GN, so take a look at this. So now it has my account settings. Now this setting of window layout is actually roamed for me. So meaning if I go back to my personal laptop and then I go and then look at my window layouts, I would still see minimal design big monitor, because remember I talked about roaming. So that's what roaming is all about. My setting is roamed across my profiles. As long as I'm logging in with the same account in any Visual Studio, I'm going to get that, right? So maybe I go to my personal laptop. Now I know that if I say Control Alt 1, I'm going to get a minimal layout on my laptop because it's only a 13-inch screen. And the moment I come back to my work laptop and then I have my big monitor, I can always go to Control Alt 3 and then I get, boom. So I get this layout. What happened? Control Alt 2, Control Alt 3. Right? So that is as easy as it can get with your different layouts. I love this feature. We were all waiting for this because it is so easy now. I can keep creating different layouts and then do not worry about closing them. Remember what I tried to do, what I was trying to do was I was trying to close different windows, but why should if I say Control Alt 1, it just goes ahead, get rid of all the other layouts and then gets me whatever I need. That is my code, my solution explorer. That's as easy as it can get. That's as cool as it can get. So that's the custom window layouts for you in Visual Studio 2015. Now the light bulbs. You might be wondering, what a light bulb, why am I talking about a light bulb in the context of Visual Studio 2015, right? Well, it is nothing but it's also known as live code analysis. Now with Roslyn, I'm not sure if you have heard about this term called as Roslyn. Roslyn is the new C# VB compiler that Microsoft has come up with. It's a fantastic compiler, and it's actually a compiler as a service, meaning you can actually write code with Roslyn, against Roslyn, all those things you can do. So what Visual Studio 2015 is doing is, under the hood, it is using Roslyn compiler to do compilation on the fly of your source code when you are developing it. You're typing system.string yes is equal to, yeah, it's actually there is a Roslyn thing going on in the background. It can give feedback, suggestion inside the code editor. Let me show it to you. Now what I've done is I also created a small console application. So let's comment this out for a while. We'll come back to that. And let me remove this guy. So this is a simple console application. And typically when you do file new project and then get a console application, this is how you get it. You get a public static void main, and then you get a public class called as program. And now what I can do is notice here. So let me go do a live zoom. Do you see this light bulb here? That's what I put the slide title as a light bulbs, because this is new thing for you in Visual Studio 2015. The light bulbs are nothing but these are doing live code analysis for you. So what I did was I created this system.string.yes. So the moment you so if you do a mouse over, notice here the light bulb comes where you did a mouse over. Or if you're doing a keyboard like me, like for example, now I have not used my mouse, but rather I'm using my up arrow, down arrow to move. So in this line where I have set system.string s is equal to hello world, notice on the left hand side I have a light bulb coming, right? So either I can use my mouse and then expand that light bulb, or I can hit control dot. Notice here what is it giving me. It says simplify name system.string, and then on the right hand side, notice this is something new. It is actually writing the modified code. The red is the line which it will remove, and then the green is the line it will write back, right? It is suggesting you that. So it is saying name can be simplified. How it can be simplified? Well, you don't need to say system.string. You just have to say string. So you can say string s is equal to hello world. And then notice here we have something called as preview changes. And this is the same code rewritten by Roslyn and then giving it back to you as a preview the code change, right? So I can now go ahead and then do an apply changes, or I can cancel. Now let me show you one more interesting stuff. Maybe you have a project where you have a couple of newbies, like a 1-year-olds or an intern who is writing some piece of code, and then you might have those guys repeating this system.string yes, right, somewhere. So what I can do is I can again go back to the light bulb and then say, like, I want you to fix all occurrences in this document, or all occurrences in this project, or all occurrences in this solution. Now you will see, like, it starts going and then looking out for this what do you call this particular symptom, that is system.string, across your project, across your solution, across your documents, and it will come back and then show you the preview changes. You can then go ahead and then say, like, hey, apply this change, right? I'm not going to do that for now. I'm just trying to showcase it. Now maybe you are doing something like this. Let's say some other variable. So you may be asking, hey, there's no some other variable. You did not you have not gone ahead and then written that, or declared that variable, right? So again, I'm going to use a light bulb, control dot, and then notice here what I get. It says generate field some other variable in program. And the right hand side, it's actually giving me that particular preview. It says private static string some other variable. Why? Because it's a static main method, correct? It says generate read-only field program dot some other variable. Well, there you go, private static read-only string some other variable. And I also have this thing called as generate property program dot some other variable. So it's a property now, it's not a field, right? And generate a local variable. This is cool, this is very smart. It is giving me all the options that I can do with this variable. It doesn't know what I want to do, right? So it is thinking, does he want to do a static variable on the class level, or does he want to do a local variable at the function level? So I can always come back here and then say, like, hey, yeah, I want to do a local variable, right? There you go, correct? Not only that, take a look at this. Okay, let's remove this code. We don't want this. I was just making a point. How many times have you come across this? Typically when you go and then do file new, you get a default template that comes up, and then it puts all the using statements, right? Maybe we don't use all the using statement. Now again, a light bulb, I can take a light bulb's help and then say, like, remove unnecessary usings, correct? Notice here currently it is showing me current page or current document, right? I can come in here and then say, hey, you know what, go ahead and then check the whole solution for this unnecessary usings. And it did sure find the unnecessary using. It found it in program.cs. Here it is. And not only that, in assembly info also it found some of the using statement that was not used, right? That is at crazy it can get with the new live code analysis. There's a bunch of things that you can do with this. This has always been there. If you see here, it says 0 references. That code lens was always there, so they have actually enhanced this concept of code lens with a lot of integration. For example, if you're connecting to a TFS, Team Foundation server, or a Visual Studio team service, and your code has been worked by multiple users, there are multiple users checking in the same code or the same file, it will actually show as part of the code lens that who was the last guy who checked in. And if there is a test case associated with this method, it will say what was the last run status. Was it green, was it red, and all those things. A bunch of things that have been done on the code lens. I don't have too much of time to actually get into code lens and all those things, so I'm just showcasing this bare minimum stuff, and then you can go and then explore it. So this is the editor concept things, the light bulb or the live code analysis. Bunch of things can be done on this. And this is another interesting thing. Shared project. Sharing is caring is what I kind of keep saying in my user group. So what is a shared project, right? So let's talk about share versus add reference. I'm not sure if you guys have come across this. Let's say I'm gonna go ahead and then okay, hang on. So okay, it's here. So let me bring up Visual Studio Code. So I'm just launching my another editor. It's known as Visual Studio Code. I'm just trying to make this point. How many of you understand this concept of share versus add reference? Or for those of you who have used Visual Studio for a long time, you will know there is a concept called as linking. I can link a external file to my project. Adding a reference is completely different. You are adding a reference of a DLL. That's not what I'm talking about. But yeah, so there's a concept of linking. So let me see if I got my, okay, the editor has come back. So I'm gonna go here and then I'm gonna say file new. Maybe I'll create it somewhere. File new, come on. It's still not loaded, this particular, okay, it's coming up now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead create a new folder somewhere, assuming that I'm going to create a particular file. So let's go ahead and then create a new folder in workspace, and then I'm going to just call it as shared. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple class file. Okay, so I'm going to say new file. So this will be person.cs, and all I'm going to do is public class person, and I'm going to just say public int maybe ID. So this is a, I'm going to just say this, and then I don't want it now, later. Then I will say public string first name, and I'm going to say public string last name, right? Just a simple class that I've created called as person. So now I want to make use of this already created class in my project. So there are a couple of ways I could do that. One is I will need to create a C# project, put this person class inside the C# project, and then create a DLL out of that, and then I have to do an add reference to that DLL. Well, if you don't want to do that, the only other way is I can come into console application, I can say right click, I can say add existing item, and then I can go to workspace shared, and now let me show you this magic. It's not a magic actually, but I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but I've been with Visual Studio for quite some time, so I know this. So okay, hang on. So let me So do this add existing item. Let me just resize this a little bit so that when I zoom in it is easier for you to see. Yeah, so now this is what it is. So now I'm going to go to C colon workspace shared, and here I'll select person, but instead of saying add, notice this what we have. It says add as a link, meaning this person.cs is continue to stay in this particular folder called as shared, but it will be included as part of my project as a link. So let me show you that what happens now. So let it finish the linking. There we go. Now notice what happened. So there is a separate what do you call, it is, take a look at program.cs and take a look at person.cs. You have a separate icon coming up there. So that icon means this file is linked to this project, meaning this file is not in this project, but it is somewhere outside, but it has been linked into this project. Well, this was not that much intuitive. You had to maintain a physical copy somewhere, and then you had to pretty much bring it in like this, right? So of course I can open this up. I can see that I'm getting my person class. So let's go ahead and then change this to maybe prop. So there you go. So I can do this like this. Now I can do this like this. String uh, first name. I'll copy this and then remove this guy, and then this I'll make it as last name, right? So now if I go and then open up my another editor, you will see the changes that I made here is available here. There you go. This is already what is happening is if someone updates a person class, yes, it will automatically update wherever it is, because it's actually a physical file been linked. So this is a concept called as add as link, but this is not great, right? So we were actually hoping for something better. So let me remove this guy. Now you have a different project type itself altogether, and it is called as shared project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the solution. I'll say add new project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for shared. Just give me a couple of seconds. I think my Visual Studio has got for not responding. Oh, it picked up something else. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is anyway. It's picked up the shared project. So there is this. I'll show you once again. It happened very quickly. I think I pressed my enter key too soon. So I searched for a project type called a shared project. So let me show you that. Add. Let me remove this guy. No, it is there. Fine. So if you go to add new project and search for shared, wait for a moment, it will do as there we go. So now you will see there is a new project type called as shared project C#, shared project VB, native shared. So this is the native C++. There is a Xamarin.Form shared. There is a Windows Universal 8.1 shared items project for C++, like that. So I have selected this shared project, the first one. Now what I can do is I can come back here and I can say add a new item. We are almost at the our end, so I have a couple of more things to show, and then we'll be able to close it up. So now I'm going to say add a class. Again, I'm going to say this is a person class, right? Now I'm going to say this is public. So instead of you seeing me typing, I'm going to go copy this as is, and I'll put it here. So now take a look at this, what happens. So this is actually a Visual Studio project. It's called as a shared. So that means all I can do now is I can come back here and then say like, add, hang on, go to references and say add reference. And you will see a new thing coming up here. It says shared projects. Now I can bring in my shared projects without any problem. Some other team can be working on this shared project. So typically, if you have something like a domain models or something like that, which needs to be shared across your applications. For example, the same domain model is used in the mobile app, the same domain model is used in the web app, the same domain model maybe is used internally in a Windows app. Yeah, so you don't need to create a DLL and then reference it anywhere, but rather what you can do is you can create a shared project and then tell all the projects to use it from here. So now this becomes part of their project. It's a different ways of doing things. So now I can come in here and then say like, hey, shared project, add the shared project reference. So now if you look at my console application, now I have a reference of shared project. So this was very popular when we were doing Windows Universal apps. In the Windows Universal app world, what we could do is we could create a shared project, put all the shared UI, shared logics, everything, and then the Windows 8 project or the Windows Phone 8 projects could just reference the shared projects. But that was not possible in a console app or a web app or anything. So now what Microsoft has done with Visual Studio 2015 is open it up for all the project types. Now I can go ahead and then create, let's say, add a new project, and I will go ahead and create a quickly Windows or classic desktop WPF application, right? So and I can share this shared project in WPF app now, right? Once this finished, I'll show you, like, I can reference the person class as is from anywhere. Let me show you that. So it's creating my WPF application now. My WPF application is created. So I can go into the add references here and I can say add reference. And again, it is able to figure out that there's a shared project. So I can go ahead and then say add a shared project. Let me go back to console application. Now here I can say, like, where person is equal to new person. Of course, it doesn't find it because there's a different namespace. And there we go, using shared project one, right? So I can do this. Now I get my person object. There you go. See this? It says person.person. That's coming from that particular project. So now I can actually do an F12 and it will take me there. So this is a completely new thing that has happened in Visual Studio 2015. The concept of sharing assets across projects is a fantastic phenomenon. And then you should pretty much take a look at this and then play it around. So now, similarly, so this is my WPF application, and here also I can say, like, where person is equal to new person. Of course, I need to do a completion, so I'll do this, and there we go. We still get the shared project one. Right, this is much better than doing linking. Linking means it's never inside your project, it is somewhere outside the project, and then you just have linked a particular file. But with this shared project, you can actually know that, oh, where is this coming from? Oh, there is a shared project that's being shared across our applications, kind of thing. So that's the concept of shared projects. And Bower npm Intellisense, this is fantastic update that Microsoft has done. So for those of you who don't know what is a Bower and npm, Bower is nothing but Bower is a registry for client-side JavaScript frameworks, right? And npm is a registry for any module or any framework that is used in Node. For example, your npm is a Node package manager, and then it has packages like Movement.js, it has packages like NativeScript or whatever. So there's a bunch of things available on npm and Bower. So let me quickly open up bower.org. So if you go to Bower, I think it's bower.org. I keep forgetting where they are. So if you go to npm js.com, what is happening with my, okay, there you go. So this is npm or Node Package Manager. If you come in here and then look for something like Bower, so even Bower is actually an npm package, right? The browser package manager. So for anything front end, I think I misspelled the Bower. Now I want you to go to Bing and let's quickly search for Bower. It's very embarrassing that I don't know the Bower. Okay, it's bower.io. I keep forgetting that. It's a bower.io. So npm is a node package manager, and bower is a browser package manager, meaning any JavaScript library that you need for your front end development for the browser is available in bower. You can come in here and then say bower dot. So you can in fact go to command line and then do this, right? For example, you can say bower install package name. So bower knows what is the latest uh, whatever is there, it's going to bring it back. So there's a question: what is special about bower as compared to NuGet? Well, NuGet is not meant for client-side JavaScript libraries. NuGet is meant for .NET libraries. If you have any .NET library which you want to kind of reference it in your application, so that's when you use a NuGet and then get it. Of course, jQuery, Bootstrap, these are also available as a NuGet package. But in the industry or in the open source world, the concept is anything that's related to front-end JavaScript library, it is hosted on Bower. For example, jQuery is there, Bootstrap is there. Any front-end library is available on Bower. So Microsoft has gone ahead and then embraced that concept that, okay, we're going to treat it that way. That is, if you need any front-end JavaScript libraries, please use Bower. If you need any .NET libraries, use NuGet. So NuGet is still there. It's fantastic. It's there. It's been revamped. I know the guy who works in the NuGet team, so I keep listening to the new goodness that's coming into NuGet. So that is still there. But the Bower is something related to front-end JavaScript libraries. So remember, we had the Apache Cordova project. Let me show you how Bower and then npm is used here. So there is a file called as package.json. This tells what are the npm packages that I need, and then there is a bower.json which says, hey, these are the front-end JavaScript libraries that I need. And then I can come in here and take a look at this. I have actually so in Bower, if you go to bower.com and then go to search packages and then click on Kendo UI, I mean search for Kendo UI. What? Yeah, there you go, Kendo-UI, and we have Kendo UI Core, or we also have Kendo UI App Builder Core. So there you go. So there are a bunch of packages. This is Kendo UI is a front end. So there are a bunch of packages available. So all I have done is this is bower.json, and then I have said dependencies. I need this guy. So let's say you need something else. Maybe you need Kendo UI Core. Take a look at what is happening. Visual Studio is able to do completion here. So let's say I'm going to go search for something else. Give me a second. Visual Studio has gone unresponding. What is free? I'm not sure the question. The question is, are they free or should be purchased? Well, anything that you see on Bower or npm.js is open source packages, so it's available as a free thing to use. So maybe I want movement.js. So there you go. Visual Studio now gives you Intellisense within the Visual Studio itself, right? So now I can say I need movement. Movement.js is a very popular JavaScript library which is used for doing date manipulation. So I can say I need movement, and it is saying, hey, wait, so let me go and then tell you how many versions or what versions is available. So see there, it is doing a loading. That's because now it is trying to figure out how many versions or what version is latest, all those things. I'm not sure why is it taking so much time. This should have come by now. So let's see. I'm not sure what happened. So let me see again. So it's movement. Come on. Or I can do a jQuery. Let's see if we can do a jQuery. Yeah, there you go. So there is a jQuery here. And I can say like, loading. Come on. Looks like I'm having some internet problem, but typically what would happen is in this particular drop down, okay, there we go, we got it. So the latest version that you see in Bower for jQuery is 2.2.0, and it says that's the latest stable version of the package. So Bower has a different convention. So if you put a caret in front and then say 2.2.0, it says, hey, match any of the most recent major revision or version. So basically, if Bower the jQuery goes and then releases 3.2, then our core or this particular bower.json tells the Bower packaging mechanism to pick up the latest one and then get it. And then the tilde means pick up the minor version. So that is, anything in 2.2. X is what I need. So don't bring up anything else, but I want, if there is a 2.2.3, yeah, I need that. If there's a 2.2.4, yeah, I need that latest one. So those are all the things that you can do. So this is the IntelliSense that you get in Bower, and similarly there is npm. So you have the package.json here. So take a look at this. So these are the dependencies that I have put up: Bower, gulp, gulp, Bower. So I can actually come in here and then maybe let's say I want grunt. So I can say give me grunt, or let's search for something gulp. Yeah, there you go. So there are a bunch of gulp related libraries available. Uh, there's a library which is available. What it does is it takes your ES6 code and then converts that into ES5. So I can say like, hey, I need that gulp. Um, uh, and then I want a 3.0.0. So somebody is asking what is the use of gulp and grunt. So gulp and grunt are client-side JavaScript task automation framework. So basically, if you have a JavaScript file and then you want to minify it, well, Visual Studio can do it, but the open source guys don't use Visual Studio, right? They do everything on a command line. So gulp and grunt are two popular task automation frameworks. You can write a gulp task and say like, hey, anytime there is a change in a CSS file, I want you to listen to that, or I want you to watch for that, and then take the CSS file, minify it, and then create a .min.css file. Or if there's a JavaScript file, if there's any time a change in that JavaScript file, I want you to pick it up, minify it, and then create a .min.js file. So this is all development side task automation frameworks that you get. And then npm is used for installing all these things. So in my project, that is, this is a Apache Cordova JavaScript project. I need Bower, I need gulp, I need gulp Bower. That is because I've written a gulp task. So let me show you that. So what I've written, the gulp task is, the task name is default. It depends on Bower. So what is Bower returning? I mean, what is Bower doing? Basically, in the Bower task, I'm actually looking for, hey, give me all the components in the Bower. I mean, Bower folder. So Bower underscore components. And then once I got that, all I'm doing is I'm saying like, hey, copy all the JavaScript file which are there inside Bower components, and then copy all the styles which are there in the Bower component, and copy them into www.lib/lib/kendo. So these are the kind of tasks that you could do. Fantastic task automation. So I can write a bunch of tasks like this to whatever I want to do, and then I can chain them. If you see there, it's all piping stuff. And I can show you Task Runner Explorer here. So this Task Runner Explorer knows that there is a gulp file, and then that has a task called as default. Now what I can do is, let me see if I can clear this all. Where is the clear? So now I can right click on default, and then I can say run, and on the right hand side you will see the gulp task getting executed. It says gulp file, it's running the default, and then that's how it's running the task default now, right? It does something what I've said. So that's the IntelliSense that is there in the package.json and everything. So I can come in here and then I can do any npm JS related this. So movement is also on the npm, and I can do this. There you go. Movement is available at 2.11.1 on npm, so I can get that. So with Visual Studio 2015, what they have done is the JSON editor. This is actually a new editor that has been written for JSON, supporting JSON. And then it's fantastic. It does a lot of things, IntelliSense and all those things. Quickly, we're already at. I missed something. Just give me a second. What did I miss? Shared projects, Bower npm IntelliSense. Oh, how am I at the last? Okay, let me go back here. So I think I missed only one. That is, let's go back to program.js. This has been one of the most widely asked aspect, that is Lambda, debugging Lambdas. So this is a simple code. what it does is, let me remove this. So this is a simple code. Let me increase the font maybe. So there you go. So what I'm doing is I have a list of integers 10, 20, 31, 40, and then I'm finding the first index of an odd integer. So what I'm doing is, hey, I'm writing a lambda expression. I'm saying, hey, element, find index of any item which when divided by 2 is not equal to 0. So it's going to go through each item. So it's a lambda expression. So it builds an expression tree and then does it. What if at runtime I want to write some other lambda and then figure out what is happening, right? So for example, let me put a breakpoint here and I'm going to run, okay, this is set as startup. So it's now running my code, this particular piece of code. So I'm going to take maybe a last minute and then I'll wrap up. So just give me a minute and then we'll do that. So now when I do F10, and of course I will get the odd index as 2, that is 31 is the first index of an odd integer in this particular list. But what if I want to come in here and then do something like this, that is, let me go back, Control Shift F10. uh, Set next statement. Yeah, so now maybe what I want to do is I want to say, like, elements dot where maybe I want to figure out how many elements inside this are greater than 11, right? Well, there you go. So it is now giving me that there are 3 items which are 20, 31, and 40. So this writing lambda expressions or debugging lambda expression within debugger was never possible before Visual Studio 2015. Now in Visual Studio 2015, Microsoft has actually gone ahead and then given this access, or has gone ahead and put this feature of lambda debugging within your debugger. So the debugger was not supporting lambda expressions to be debugged prior to Visual Studio 2015. So that is all I had to showcase as part of today's webinar. So basically, where's my presentation? So that's all. Those are some of the things that I wanted to cover as part of what's new in Visual Studio 2015. I hope you guys have got a good grip at what are the good things that are available in Visual Studio 2015. Believe me, I've just touched the surface of the this is just like a tip of the iceberg. There are a bunch of things that are available as part of the Visual Studio. So let me stop recording now and then I'll get onto the Q&A. So thank you very much for those of you who have attended this today's webinar. We look forward to your future presence also.